What are biofuels? Biofuels are energy sources made from living things, or the waste that living things produce. Supporters of biofuels argue that their use could significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Burning the fuels produce carbon dioxide. Growing the plants or biomass removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Though detractors claim that biofuel production pose a major threat to global food systems and the natural environment. The origin of biofuels. Biofuels in the solid form has been used ever since man discovered fire. Wood was the first form of biofuel that was used even by the ancient people for cooking and heating. With the discovery of electricity, man discovered other ways of utilizing biofuels. First generation of biofuels. First generation biofuels are made from sugars, starches, oil, and animal fats that are converted into fuel using already known processes or technologies. These fuels include biodiesel, bioalcohols, ethanol, and biogases, like methane captured from landfill decomposition. Second and third generation biofuels. Second generation biofuels are made from non food crops or agricultural waste, especially ligocellulosic biomass like switchgrass, willow, or wood chips. Third generation biofuels are made from algae or other quickly growing biomass sources. Fourth generation biofuels. Fourth generation of biofuels are made from specially engineered plants or biomass that may have higher energy yields or lower barriers to cellulosic breakdown, or are able to be grown on non agricultural land or bodies of water. Check out the graph below. Biofuels in aviation. The aviation industry has embraced the concept of biofuels with enthusiasm and has already completed much of the technical work needed to start commercial flights. Rigorous testing, both on the ground and in the air, has shown that biofuels can deliver equal and sometimes better performance than the current fuel. The biggest challenge now lies in ensuring a steady, reliable, cost effective, and sustainable supply of this new energy source. The aviation industry is unable to use some of the first generation biofuels because biodiesel freezes at the high altitudes at which we fly, and ethanol doesn't carry the required energy density. An importance when dealing with the production of biofuel for aviation is that certain crop areas should be designated for aviation fuel only, and to make sure that there is enough of that crop to use for fuel and for whatever other purpose it originally served. In aviation, we have been looking at a wide range of non food crops as sources of biofuel. The supply of fuel to the commercial aviation industry is also on a relatively smaller scale and less complex than for other forms of transport. For example, there are over 160,000 retail gas stations in the United States alone. And this compares to a relatively smaller number of airport fuel depots at 190 airports and handle over 80% of the global fuel uplift. It would be much easier to implement the use of biofuels in the aviation industry than any other transportation industry. While the industry is making some very significant steps in improving the efficiency of aircraft, since the first jets flew in the early 1960s. There has been more than a 70% improvement in fuel efficiency. The second generation biofuels that aviation is investigating are very special when refined. They are virtually identical to the jet's A1 fuel we currently use today. This means we can drop it into the fuel supply. No new engines, no new aircraft, and no new separate fuel delivery are needed at airports. This is the most practical solution. British Airways and Solena Group. An important step was made in lowering the amount of carbon emissions for a better future in 2009. British Airways and Solena Partnership was formed in 2009 when the two companies agreed to work together to develop a unique project in London. Solena, a renewable energy technology company that's based in Washington, D.C., offered a pathway to sustainable aviation fuels by converting waste biomass into fuels, renewable energy, and heat. Although at the time many biofuel demonstration flight trials had taken place, a full commercial scale facility for renewable jet fuel had not been constructed. British Airways believes that sustainable fuels offer a unique opportunity for aviation to decarbonize over a short period of time. Biofuels and Congress. In 2007, Congress updated its renewable fuel standard, which set rough targets for the amount of ethanol and other biofuels that had to be blended into the nation's gasoline supply each year. By 2013, the target rose to 16.55 billion gallons, and it was supposed to continue rising until it hit 36 billion gallons in 2022. One small issue. Lawmakers figured that Americans would keep using more and more gasoline each year, and all that ethanol would make up a small portion of the total. Instead, the opposite happened. Americans started buying more fuel efficient cars and began driving less. U.S. gasoline use has actually fallen in recent years. Biofuels and Chevron. Chevron experts work with a number of industrial and commercial research partners to further their knowledge on biofuels. Chevron is especially interested in biomass based liquids with a chemical composition similar to crude oil and biohydrocarbons. Biohydrocarbons are biomass based finished products that are chemically identical to their petroleum based fuel. Biodiesel. Raw municipal sewage has a substantial amount of lipids that can contribute to the production of biodiesel. Biodiesel is largely produced from vegetable or seed oils, and the cost of agricultural products accounts for roughly 80% of the production cost. Lipids, which are fatty organic compounds that is not soluble in water and is actually extractable at two different stages of the process. Establishing biofuel harvesting equipment could produce about 1.8 billion gallons of biodiesel, which is about 3% of the nation's current fuel use. The cost would be about $3.11 per gallon, which has the potential to be very competitive with fossil derived diesel. Compared to fossil diesel, which is at an average cost of $4.10 per gallon.